all day today on KPRC2 News. We are focusing on helping you protect your kids and modern day dangers, from everything from drugs to mental health challenges, even just a simple walk home from school.
Yeah, this is a really important conversation for so many families. During our last hour, I spoke with a health administrator with Fort Bend ISD about a new Texas law that requires schools to have Narcan on campus to hopefully save lives.
Yeah, and so this hour we are joined by KPRC2 anchor Daniella Guzman to talk about anxiety.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
I
was late last night. I just fell asleep with my makeup on and my eyelashes. I'm like, I'm scared to get up.
Ready to go into the studio.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad that you came to talk because, you know, this is a topic that I love too. I love mental health topics, and especially with kids. I mean, we could go over the numbers about how anxiety is just going up and up and up, and we're seeing suicides and depression and you know, mental health challenges, but we don't even need to do that. I mean, it's like everybody knows somebody whose child is struggling with this.
Anxiety is raw and it's very real, and it's something that affects not only kids but adults. I mean, how many of us don't wake up and stress about something? That's a level of anxiety, and so it's something that we need to talk about. And sometimes as parents, we don't. I have two girls, and you and I don't know if you remember this, but a couple months back we were having conversations about dropping off your kids at a daycare and then having that separation anxiety. And you know, I now have a preteen. And that's like a different level of anxiety that she goes through.
Social media.
And I don't know how you guys grew up, but sometimes our parents didn't really talk about all these things, and so, or we weren't open with them. So my story tonight at 10 o'clock is really about how do you establish that relationship and close that gap with your kids so you can have these conversations and they can trust you.
And with that, you facilitate that conversation. There's a starting point on how to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, because many times we're just like, oh, they'll go to their room and let them figure it out, or you know, they'll
and that's kind of how we were brought up, right?
Or they'll get over it, tough love kind of thing. But that's not the case anymore. There has always been anxiety, but this is a different level and kind of anxiety. And I think the concern is that they're seeing it younger and younger with kids. And so it's about how do we start that conversation as parents? How do we feel comfortable? Because maybe we don't feel comfortable having that conversation because we don't know how to deal with our own anxiety, right? Yeah. And so when we have to not only deal with our anxiety, then talk about it with our kids, we have to like kind of figure out how to do that right, because there's this thing called dismissive parenting that many of us probably do without thinking about it or knowing it, when you're just like, you're fine, or why do you always like get shy, or why are you always stressed out?
Or the toxic positivity of like, oh, it'll be fine, you'll be fine, everything turns out great, you turned out great, you know, like that's not helping, that's not validating these feelings. These feelings are very real and they're very scary and uncomfortable. And you know, I like the mental health thing now because we're all open to talking about it, and we weren't growing up, and now we have a word for it. You know, when we were called a worrier or something like that, that's anxiety. We had it all along, you know?
That's
it was there.
I spoke to an expert that said there's always been anxiety. This isn't new. What's new is the different types of anxiety, like the performance anxiety, like grades and sports and academic. He sees so many kids for the pressure of academics and getting into the right school and being able to tell your friends what school you're going to. And now they're seeing a lot more social anxiety with, oh, they got invited to a party that I didn't, and so I'm accepted. Is it what am I wearing? Is that what's in? And since it's all posted now, it's so much more public.
You don't hear about it in the halls, you're seeing it on your phone.
So it can't be like, oh, don't tell so-and-so I'm having people over, it's just a small group. Like, they already know. And everybody there that's been invited is posted.
And then there's a comparison, which adults suffer from this too. We're like, oh, look at the amazing life they're having, or they went on this great vacation and I can't do that.
The elaborate birthday parties. I can't even post my 4-year-old's birthday party because somebody else had a balloon wall and a magician and all these things, and I'm just like, he's 4, so he's not going to get
this is not going away anytime soon. So I think as parents, we need to really equip ourselves with the right information, the right tools, and that's what we're doing here. So we're asking all these experts in our community, and we also asked, I posted on Instagram, and I wanted to know what other parents do, because I don't know about you, but I love learning from other parents.
Of course,
it doesn't necessarily mean what you're doing at home with your kids is going to work with me, but it may spark an idea or something in my mind that I can try or apply with my kids.
Or just to recognize, oh, we're going through that too.
Yeah.
But you like I said, like, you don't have words for it. You don't realize, like, oh, that's what they might be feeling.
Right.
And what did you hear from parents, like, because I have little boys, so I'm, curious about boys too, but are you finding there's a difference between boys and girls with this?
Right. So girls feel very sad. We're very emotional. And so for us, the comparison and the acceptance is a bigger issue for girls. With boys, it's a lot more competitive, sports related.
The pressures
anxiety,
of
pressure,
achieving the success.
Exactly.
And not talking about those things too.
Yeah.
I think when you factor in the stresses, that anxiety that boys face, there are a lot of layers, just like with girls, but those layers are not to be talked about because that's not what boys do. Boys don't express those concerns.
Well, when you look at suicide statistics, men are more likely to commit suicide, and they say that, a lot of times it's because the men don't feel comfortable reaching out.
Yeah.
So, that's a priority of mine, is to connect with my boys at a young age and let them know that, like, boys cry too, and boys have emotions, and boys might feel lonely, because that was always kind of a girl thing. And so,
really, I think the purpose of this is to just acknowledge it's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's something that we all experience at different levels, and how do we manage it, And letting our kids know there's nothing wrong with you, but there's something that doesn't make you feel right. And this expert that I spoke with, when you watch the story tonight at 10 o'clock, he gives you step-by-step things that you could do together to really close that gap and have that trust, that feeling of trust grow with your kids. Because this isn't something they're going to experience for a short period of time. This is a life thing. And if you can help them start early learn how to manage
at a younger age,
then as adults, it doesn't mean we're not going to have anxiety anymore. It just really means that we may be better at managing it, which is something that I'm still trying to figure out.
All while helping yourself, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we're always talking. I learned I'm not, as you know, a dad to children. I am a dog dad, but I'm so often learning so much from her when it comes to these things that I also can apply in my life, not being a parent.
Yeah,
so
but you don't have to be a parent to feel anxiety. Like, to me, sometimes it's like, am I enough? Like, am I drinking enough water? Am I eating healthy enough? Do I have to? Am I getting enough steps? Am I being a great employee? What about a good daughter? Like, I'm not calling my grandfather enough.
And it keeps going.
Yeah, and so it's like this never enough, and it's this constant just stress and anxiety of like catching up, and feeling like you're surviving when you really should be thriving.
The invisible load, the invisible checklist that we're constantly going over in our heads, that's adding to this.
And so as parents, we want better for our kids. And so this is a good way just to get the conversation started as some things that we can do to grab their hand, walk them through this situation, so when we're not around, they can try to navigate and manage this themselves.
Well, and one thing that I keep trying to remind parents too is that this is the first generation of parents who's ever dealt with this, who's ever had the issue of mental health being a mainstream topic, and they're dealing with social media. So you can't parent in the same way that you were parented.
No.
It's just a totally different world, and we're the first generation of parents. And so we got to give ourselves some slack for that too.
And you're not expected to be an expert.
That checklist that we're like, we should have done this, and we should have done this, and I should have been playing with my boys, but I should have gotten them the nutritious dinner. And I can't do all of the things at one time.
But not doing anything, I think, is the problem. And so this is a way for us to say, we're all going through this. We're all experiencing this. It's okay to talk about this. Let's figure out a way. And you can't do the same with each child, because each child reacts differently to the different types of parenting. And so that's even more stressful.
It is,
And it's just about giving yourself a little pat in the back and
a little grace.
Right, a little grace, but having those tools that we want to give you in order for you to implement with your kiddos. And you're going to grow, they're going to grow, your relationship will grow. That's the hope. This has been a great experience for me, for my two kids. And just me trying to figure out my own anxiety, their anxiety, and just trying to live with a little bit more like peace and joy.
We always say solutions start with a conversation. This is a wonderful way to kick off this conversation. I know you're going to continue the conversation tonight.
Yep, that's right. Tonight at 10 o'clock, you will be able to see the full story, but we have a lot of stuff in between, because I'm going to sit down with Owen and Sophia at 10 o'clock. We'll be streaming that. We'll have, more conversations. They both have kids, and it's all different ages, and so it's really good to just talk about this and get the ball rolling with the conversation. And so, and then we're going to chat live with some of our viewers. And I would love to hear your ideas, like what you're doing and what I'm doing and how we can help each other. It's just very helpful to have that community and that support.
Folks listening and watching right now can be part of the conversation.
They can go to click2houston.com and just talk to you.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be chatting that throughout the day. It's going to be on click2houston.com. And
and there's that QR code too, Daniella, I believe, right? Yes, right here.
Up at the bottom of your screen right now, you can scan that QR code and it'll take you to the place where Daniella can answer your comments in the forum. And then you can share those ideas, what works, what doesn't work for your family. And together we can identify the best ways to help our kids thrive. And I'm going to be looking forward to your report at 10 because I love specific examples of
I need that specific stuff because we know
it's in broad general terms.
Right, we know it's an issue. So like now what? You know? Right. And I think this is our way here at KPRC of tackling the things that are really keeping us up at night.
Yeah, you're right.
And I love having you here. This is awesome.
I know. What did you do that convinced you to come in early?
I mean, I have my coffee. That's really all I need. I dropped off my kids and I'm like, Mama's going to work. So here we go. Awesome. I'm happy to be with you guys. It's a good conversation, an important one, and
very important.
And I love being a part of it.
All right. Daniella Guzman in the morning. Thank you for joining us.